Auditing a system for potential misconfiguration or unprotected services is an important aspect of system hardening. Lynis is an open source security auditing tool with an automated set of scripts developed to test a Linux system. Lynis performs an extensive health scan of your system. It includes a detailed report of vulnerabilities and recommended actions. In this lab, Harden a Linux System, you will use Lynis to scan your VM and then implement solutions to harden your system. Step 1 is open a terminal window in the CSE Lab VM. Launch the CSE Lab VM. Double-click the terminal icon to open a terminal. We'll increase the size so it's easier to see. Change to the Lynis directory, which is in the Downloads folder. And then enter the sudo Lynis update info command to check the update information for Lynis. Enter password as the password. And here you can see that the current version is up to date as of the recording of this lab, 3.0.3. Step 3 is run the Lynis tool. Enter the sudo Lynis auditor command as user Cisco. The audit will take a few minutes to run. I'll pause the video. Step 4 is review the results of your scan and address any warnings. The report has finished running. Let's scroll back to the Lynis 3.0.3 results section, which is right here. Your results most likely will include these same 2 warnings. You may also receive other warnings. In this recording, we received suggestions for 51 additional issues to address. Let's do some research and find out how we can address both of these warnings. First, let's see how to address our vulnerable packages report. You can right-click on this link to open the link in Firefox. This report says that we have vulnerable packages, and it recommends that we run these commands. Let's run these 2 commands as root to address the vulnerabilities warning. Press the Enter key, sudo apt get update, password, and then sudo apt get upgrade. At the time of this recording, apt get upgrade wants to upgrade Firefox as well as a couple of other packages. Answer yes to continue. I'll pause the video here while it continues to upgrade. The upgrade is finished. Now let's run Lynis again to see that the warning is no longer listed. After the audit runs, let's scroll back to the warnings section to see if the vulnerable packages is gone, and it is not. So let's run the sudo apt get upgrade command again to see why. And you'll notice that Linux generic, Linux headers generic, and Linux image generic were not updated. If you do a search for these, you'll see that they're part of the distro. So we need to upgrade the distro for this version of Linux. You can see the version of Linux by entering the following command. uname with the options SR. We see that we have 5.4.0-67 generic. To update the distro package, enter the command sudo apt-get distro upgrade and press enter. Notice here that the following new packages will be installed, and the following packages will be upgraded, the same ones that we saw listed here. Enter Y for yes, and the upgrade will begin. After the update for the distro finishes, you will need to reboot in order to get a clean report from the audit. Type sudo reboot. And the VM will close and reboot. After the VM reloads, open a terminal window again. And change directory to Lynis. And run the audit again. Again, I'll pause the video. After the audit finishes, scroll back up to the warnings section. And notice that we no longer have a warning for vulnerable packages. Now let's take a look at the second warning. IP tables module loaded, but no rules active. Right-click on the link and open in Firefox. If we scroll down to the section where it says how to solve, it says that usually this control shows up when the IP tables module is loaded, while there are no firewall rules loaded. Consider turning off the firewall software completely, or preferably populate it with an appropriate firewall policy. Let's do that. Let's populate our VM with an appropriate firewall policy. IP tables is a firewall solution for Ubuntu Linux. So let's search for an how-to for Ubuntu firewalls. Ubuntu IP tables how-to. Let's click this link and see what we have. So IP tables is a firewall installed by default on all official Ubuntu distros, which our VM is. Ubuntu comes with UFW, a program for managing IP tables. Basic commands include the sudo iptables-l command to list your current rules in IP tables. Let's take a look at what we have on the VM. Sudo iptables-l. And we have no rules specified for IP tables. Basic IP tables options are listed here. Accept, reject, drop, log. Okay, so this particular how-to page has several IP tables entries that are recommended. This one is for allowing established sessions to receive traffic. So let's copy this command and put it in our VM. This rule allows us to establish sessions from the VM to the internet, but Sessions coming back that are not established would not be allowed. Allow incoming traffic on specific ports. This one is for SSH. Let's add that to our VM. We can check the IP tables again later. Let's allow all incoming web traffic. Now that we have specified rules for all the traffic we want to accept, let's block all other traffic using this rule. There's this section here about editing IP tables, and it specifies that we have a problem with this particular firewall so far because all loopback traffic is going to be denied, and we want loopback traffic to be accepted. So we can edit the firewall by adding this rule, and the -i option allows us to insert a rule at a different place in the list instead of at the bottom, and we're going to put it in spot 1. So this rule would be listed first before all the other rules we've already specified. So allow all traffic on the loopback. Let's paste that one in. And then run our sudo IP tables list command. And we can see that we are allowing all traffic from anywhere. This is for the loopback. This one is for established TCP sessions. This one is for SSH, and this one is for HTTP. If we use the verbose version of the command, just add a V, we can see the ports that are specified. So the interface here is for this very first one that we entered this one last, but it's now listed first. Remember, we did an insert and put it in the first spot. This is for loopback only. And then all of these other rules are for any interface, whether it's the Ethernet interface or the loopback interface. Let's go back to our how-to and scroll down. You can configure logging later if you would like, but we should probably save our IP tables. So let's type that command in. Sudo IP tables save. We get the message that IP tables are saved and the timestamp. Let's run Lynis again. After the report runs, scroll back to the warnings section. And notice the warning is still there. It says no rules active. So maybe our firewall is not turned on. Let's go back to the IP tables how-to and scroll back to the top where it said UFW. Click that link. UFW stands for Uncomplicated Firewall. And here we're looking at, for this section, enable and disable. So sudo UFW enable. We've also got disable. We can also see the status of our firewall. So let's do that first. Let's check the status. Sudo UFW status. And it says it's inactive. So let's enable it. Sudo UFW enable. Firewall is active and enabled on the system startup. Let's run Lynis again and see if our IP tables warning is gone. after the audit finishes. Scroll back to the top, our warning sections, and notice now we get the message, great, no warnings. All our warnings have been addressed. Feel free to investigate any of these other suggestions on your own.